Hi guys, so I'm back with another video, and this time I wanted to show you how I go about making my baby's baby food. She started eating solids about 6 months, which is the normal time for infants, usually between 4 and 6 months, and they'll give you little signs that they're ready for solids. And I always knew that I wanted to try to make her baby food on my own. And I talked to a lot of moms about making baby food, and the first thing that they always think is that it's super hard. It takes way too much time. A lot of them are working moms, and they're like, that's great for you because you stay at home, but I work. And I totally understand that. It can be a little more challenging if you do have to work throughout the week, but it is something that you can, gratefully, you can take like one day, whether it's a Sunday or I'm not going to say Friday night because I'm sure you have other things that you want to do, but you can take one day, a few hours, even a couple of hours, and you can make up to a month's worth of food, and you can freeze it. And then that way, it's a lot easier for you to make different mixes, which is what I do, and just make it a little bit more healthier for your child, as well as making it a little bit less expensive for you. So today what I'm going to show you is how I prepare the food that I puree, how I puree it. I do have a baby bullet system, and I'll show you guys what comes with that system. I got it as a baby shower gift, but you do not have to have a baby bullet to make homemade baby food. You can use a regular blender. For some foods, you can just use, a fork to mash it up. You can use, if you have a NutriBullet, which we also have a NutriBullet, you can use a NutriBullet. So a baby bullet is just, like I said, I got it as a baby shower gift and I totally love it, but it's not something that is required to make your baby food, okay? All right, so here's everything that essentially comes with your baby bullet. And I'll kind of go through what I have in my system and what you can substitute if you don't have the baby bullet system. So obviously it comes with the base, which has the blade. Well, it it operates the blade, the motor, and then you have your tray for putting in your fruits and vegetables to puree. It also comes with a spatula, which obviously you can use, any spatula. It really doesn't matter. You can even use a spoon, but I actually don't typically like this spatula. I usually use a smaller one that I have because it just makes it a little bit easier. But for the NutriBullet, again, like I said earlier, you can use just like your, for the baby bullet, you can use a NutriBullet, you can use a blender. It doesn't really matter. It does come with two what they call batch trays. These trays are used for freezing your purees. So, you just obviously puree it, fill them up, put them in the freezer, and you can pop them out and put them into freezer bags. Now for this, you can use a regular ice tray. You can get it for $1 at the Dollar Tree. If you already are using ice trays and you want separate ones for your baby food, you can get those. Those work fine. Not a big deal. The last thing that it comes with are the refrigerator storage. They're like the little baby food containers. If you don't have the baby bullet, you can use reused glass baby food jars. So when you finish with, I have just some of these that my sister-in-law gave me, but when you finish with your baby food, you can just obviously wash these out and you can reuse these as well. Or you can use just a regular plastic container that can go into your refrigerator, and then you can just heat it up as you go. Now, with the batch tray, when you're saving your food in the freezer, it lasts up to, I read it lasts a month. Now, some websites will tell you that you can keep some foods up to 3 months. I usually stick with the 1 month rule just because I like to, stay on the safe side. With the refrigerator storage, your food lasts for 3 days, okay? And that's usually what they say across the board for any food. If you're putting it in the refrigerator, it's only good for 3 days. Now, what is cool about the baby bullet is that it has this little dial on each container, and it has the date. So you can put the date, the day that you made the food, and then you'll know when your 3 days are up. Okay, so that's one thing that I do like about that. Not to mention that it has a little smiley faces on it. So I'm a sucker for stuff like that. So anyway, that's what comes with your system. And so now we're just going to get into how I go about actually making the food, and I'm going to show you how easy it really is. Okay, so when I'm thinking about making my baby food, I do a lot of fresh vegetables and fruits. For example, I do butternut squash, I do avocado, things of that nature. Bananas, obviously, I'm going to do those fresh, but there is an alternative. You can use frozen foods, and I do this a lot. When vegetables are frozen, they typically don't lose too much of their nutritional value, and it works better for me because I can continue to store them in the freezer. They don't go bad as quickly, and it's a lot cheaper. Like these bags are usually like between 97 cents and $2. So I'm not going to cook all of these for the sake of time, but I just want to show you some of the examples of 3 different vegetables that you can cook in one period of time. It goes so fast. And you can just freeze the stuff. I absolutely love it. So I have here just a bag of frozen cut green beans that I got from Walmart. Some frozen sweet peas, which my baby absolutely loves sweet peas. I think these are like her favorite vegetables so far that she's tried. And I have some frozen cauliflower. Now I haven't made cauliflower yet, so these are the vegetables that I'm going to make for her today. So just wanted to show you guys how fast, you make one, you make the other. You can even make them all at the same time, and then all you have to do is puree them, and then you're good to go. So I'm going to set these over to the side because I'm going to be focusing on the cauliflower for today. Now, the way that I prepare my vegetables is not always the same. Sometimes I will, use the stove and steam my vegetables, but sometimes, like if I'm in a rush or have other things I need to do, I will use the microwave. And that's what I'm going to be doing today. So some of you may not be comfortable cooking your vegetables in the microwave, and that's totally fine. You don't have to do that. You can use the stove, however you want to do it, but I do like to use the microwave. So I usually use this little, just like a mini casserole dish that me and my husband use a lot, just because when we make vegetables, it's just us eating. So we just use this little casserole dish. So the only thing you have to do is just, dump some of your veggies into your little dish, and then you're just going to add a little bit of water. You typically don't need a lot of water at all. You just want to have enough water to just coat the very bottom of your dish, because if you use too much water, what will happen is the vegetables will get soggy. So you don't want them to be soggy. In fact, with vegetables, typically the only thing that you want to do is get them soft when you're pureeing them. You just want to get them a little bit soft so that you can put them into your device and puree them efficiently. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pop these in the microwave. It usually takes I usually put mine in for about 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we will puree. Okay, so I cooked my cauliflower for a little bit under 5 minutes. I actually didn't even need a full 5 minutes for it to get just a little soft. So you just want to obviously, take a fork and just kind of make sure that you can put the fork through the veggies, but you don't want them to be soggy because you want them to keep as much nutritional value as possible. Okay, so the next thing that you're going to do is just open up whatever you're using, whether it's a baby bullet or, blender. And just go ahead and pour your veggies in. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to puree the cauliflower. And as you go, you can continue to just check the consistency. It has a little top portion that you can take off, so you can kind of use your fork or spoon to see if it's the right consistency and add more water to the top instead of having to keep taking this part off. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and for the sake of the video, it's going to be really loud. So I'm going to go ahead and puree it, and then I'll come back and show you guys what it looks like. Alright, so I'm finished pureeing. It only took about 10 seconds to puree the cauliflower, and this is the consistency that I like to have for my daughter. She's 7 months old, so she doesn't require quite as much water as she would when she was like 6 months old, or if you're working with a baby who started solids, say when they're 4 months old. So typically the older that the child gets, the less water and the more texture that you want to have to your food. So hers is kind of medium texture. I didn't have to add any extra water just because there was water left over from when I cooked the cauliflower. So now I'm going to show you guys how you are going to store your food. Now, with the cauliflower, what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed it to her for 3 full days. And the reason that you want to do that is when your baby is starting out new foods, you want to make sure that they're not going to have a allergic reaction to it. So you want to give it to them for at least 3 days straight to make sure. Check for any rashes, check for any breathing difficulty, anything like that, just to see if they're having any if it's having a negative effect on them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to store 3 baby jar containers in the refrigerator, and I've already gone ahead and put the date on each one of these dials so that again I'll know when my 3 days is up. So I'm going to go ahead and fill these. Now, with the rest of my cauliflower, which I have maybe a few servings left, I'm going to go ahead and put those in my batch tray and freeze them. So you're going to grab your batch tray and just add your cauliflower in there. And I like to kind of, I don't know, I like the tops to be as even as possible, so I kind of try to make it a little bit more even. So that's going to go in the freezer. Now, see how easy that was? I just made cauliflower, and this is enough to last her for at least 6 days. Okay, so I have 3 for the refrigerator, 3 for the freezer. And then what you do is you'll freeze your batch tray, and then when they're frozen completely solid, you can go ahead and pop them out, grab a Ziploc freezer bag, and just store them. Now what I do is I always will put the date that I made the food, and I'll also obviously put what it is, because sometimes when you puree food you can't remember what it is. Now if you notice, these that I have in this freezer bag are not the they're not in the same shape as from the batch tray, and that's because I used a regular ice tray. Okay, so that's pretty much it. This is enough food to last until April the 5th. Okay, and then I have our cauliflower for 3 days. So I hope you guys saw how easy this was. And if you have any questions, please let me know. And I hope that I have helped you, and I hope that I can save you some money, save you a little bit of time, and help you to make some healthy baby food. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.